What is a visual novel game made of? Usually you have a background and something that'll tell the background to change sometimes, and then a sprite or a couple of sprites that also change sometimes, and a text box that shows different text every time you click. Maybe sometimes all the dialogue stuff will disappear and there's an environment that you can interact with. They're interactables that make things happen when you click them. In V3A and Toon Builder's case, you have a player that moves left and right and it makes the background scroll. So the question is, what is this something that tells everything to do the right thing at the right time? In a lot of systems like Ren'Py, you just have to go in the code and say, do thing 1, then do thing 2, then do thing 3, and it gets to the point where you're just spending all of your time writing this repetitive stuff and just wishing there was a better way. And if you're a programmer, your next thought will be, can I make a better way? So I may have done a little bit of planning. As I've been writing my prologue, I've also been developing a system where a writer can write a script in a specific computer-readable way, then export it into a file, and then the game just reads it and knows what to do based on that. Specifically, the game makes a list of objects called instructions. Each instruction has a function called execute, and when the game goes down the list, it'll tell each instruction to execute. Now here's the hard part. Every instruction does something different when it executes, and talks to a different part of the game system. And the thing with code is that every part of an entity needs to be perfect for the whole thing to not just explode on startup. If we let every instruction have access to every part of the game, there's a danger that if one thing breaks, everything breaks, and it becomes a nightmare to change or fix anything. So what I'm currently doing is I'm designing a system where every instruction is born with one thing that it has access to, and one thing that it can do when it executes. That's still easier said than done, but we won't get too deep into the weeds here. This is why software architecture is such a big topic. We're trying to plan out code structures that won't make our lives miserable later down the line. Kind of like making blueprints so that you don't waste resources building a bad house. They don't teach this in university, unfortunately, so we really have to learn on our feet here. The other thing that I've been having to learn on the fly is game design. Thankfully, my forefathers Danganronpa and Your Turn to Die have already gone and found out what works and what doesn't. V3A has an investigation mechanic that's sort of a cross between Danganronpa and what I'm making for Toon Builder. You find clues, take note of them, and combine information from them to form new conclusions. Your choice of who you interact with and what dialogue options you pick will affect the course of your investigation, but it's not like Your Turn to Die where there's multiple whole plots and people's whole fates change. It's more so just meant to add a bit of life to the story and not just feel like you're on this railroad track. And I'm trying to avoid the other common thing visual novels do where you keep having two dialogue options that literally mean the same thing. But I'm still playing around with exactly how deep and complex this split roots thing should be, so let me know what you think of it. That's all I have time for. Seriously, I've procrastinated way too close to the sun. So more updates will have to wait for another week. You'll be there, right? Right?